Maya Okafor-Williams awoke before dawn, the orange-gold half-light of Lagos spilling through her floor-to-ceiling windows like liquid fire. She lay for a moment beneath linen sheets, listening to the hush of a 20-room mansion that bore her fingerprint in every carved balustrade and marble tile. It had taken her 12 relentless years, trading cassava for microelectronics, flipping shipping contracts on razor-thin margins, then building a real estate empire from the ground up, to buy this silence. And yet, in the glossy tabloids scattered downstairs, her husband, Leo Williams, wore the crown. She slid out of bed, bare feet pressing cool against Italian marble, and padded to the mirrored dressing alcove. There, a vision of power stared back, soft mahogany skin, tight coils pinned in a low bun, and a scar that sliced one eyebrow where she'd once leapt from a moving bus to save a crate of prototype phones. She allowed herself a private smile, evidence of a fight survived, then draped an emerald silk robe around her shoulders and descended the winding staircase. In the breakfast atrium, a 6-meter waterfall tinkled into a koi pond. Leo lounged beneath it, designer pajamas open at the chest, scrolling idly through his phone. "Good morning, sunshine," he greeted, flashing a practice grin that had melted thousands of social media followers. "Morning," Maya replied, pouring fresh pineapple juice. Their chef, a dunny, delivered an artful platter of akara and pap. Maya thanked her warmly. Leo did not look up. "Big day at the office?" he asked, tapping a notification. "Board meeting at 9. She sipped juice. "We're finalizing the Ikoyi Tech Hub acquisition." Leo hummed, unimpressed. "I've got brunch with Ketchy and the boys, might swing by the golf club." A muscle twisted in Maya's jaw, but she said nothing. For appearances, she'd allowed Leo to annex her triumphs. The public narrative, crafted by their joint PR team, painted them as equal partners, yet quietly, Leo claimed sole credit. She'd tolerated it because love, to her, had once required sacrifice. Recently, though, sacrifice felt suspiciously one-sided. Footsteps clacked, Esther Williams swept in, draped in gold lace oak, perfume cloud preceding her like royalty. Leo leapt to kiss her cheek. "Morning, Mum." Esther's gaze swept the atrium, approving its grandeur as though she herself had commissioned the design. "Maya," she said, voice syrup sweet. "I trust you slept well in this palace my son provides?" Maya smiled, calm. "Very well, Mummy Esther." "Thank you." If Esther heard the steel under the courtesy, she gave no sign. She perched beside Leo, praising his hard work while ignoring the woman who paid every bill. Maya stirred her pap slowly, heat rising behind her sternum. But she tucked the anger away. Today was not for battles, but she marked the insult like a pin on a war map. Outside, rain clouds gathered over the lagoon, and thunder rumbled in the distance, as though Lagos itself sensed the coming storm. That afternoon, Maya's personal accountant, Teo, arrived at the corporate penthouse overlooking the Atlantic. He set a slim envelope on her obsidian conference table. "Madam, these flagged transactions appeared after the last audit." He slid 3 glossy printouts forward. Maya scanned them. Large transfers to an account in Esther Williams's name, each labeled consultancy fee, each debited from the family trust Leo supposedly managed. Her pulse slowed, cold. She inhaled, steadying her voice. "And my husband authorized these?" "Yes, ma'am. Electronic signatures match his profile." Teo hesitated. "It totals 120 million naira." Maya thanked him, then dismissed the team. Alone, she paced the executive suite, glass walls reflecting a woman caught between fury and heartbreak. She had given Leo access because marriage, she'd believed, was partnership. But mislabeling her earnings as his to feed Esther? That betrayal lodged beneath her ribs like broken glass. Her phone vibrated, Leo's carefree selfie from the golf course, captioned "Killing it on the greens." #hustle harder. Maya's thumb hovered over reply, then retreated. Confrontation, done too early, would only drive the lie underground. She needed light, unforgiving, blinding light, to see what else crawled beneath the facade. That evening, she returned home later than usual. The foyer chandelier bathed Leo in golden glow as he greeted her with a peck on the cheek. She inhaled cologne and the faint scent of champagne. "You must be exhausted," he said, guiding her toward the dining hall where Esther waited. "Mum's been supervising redecorations." Maya's gaze flicked to a platinum vase, new, ornate, undoubtedly expensive. She ran a finger along its rim. "Lovely," she murmured. "Funded by my account, no doubt." Over dinner, Esther regaled them with anecdotes of proper household roles, praising Leo's provider instincts. Maya's smile never cracked, but inside, a seed sprouted, curled roots of suspicion gripping fertile soil. She excused herself early, claiming migraines. In truth, she needed silence to listen to that seed. What might it grow into if left unchecked? Lightning split the sky as she lay awake, counting heartbeats. Thunder followed, like distant drums summoning her to war. And as rain slapped the windows, a single truth crystallized. Trust deserved testing. The next morning, Esther cornered her son in the rose garden while gardeners trimmed hedges. Maya, unseen on a balcony 2 floors above, watched through wrought iron rails. Esther's voice drifted up. "Leo, a real man wields the purse strings. Your wife's success is commendable, but optics matter. Society must see you steering the ship." Leo exhaled, twirling a hibiscus. "Mom, you know Maya, she likes control." "Then take it, my son." Esther's bracelets clinked like coins. "Channel more of her earnings into ventures under your name. That trust fund is barely a start. Secure assets before circumstances change." Maya's breath caught. "Circumstances?" She leaned closer. Esther continued, "Women are fragile vessels. One illness, and their empires collapse. Be prepared." A gardener's shears clicked. Leo stared at red petals falling. "You're right," he murmured. "I need leverage." Maya's stomach lurched. She'd suspected greed, but this was open plotting. The world blurred around the edges, only the voices remained, sharp as knives. "We'll discuss details at dinner," Esther finished, patting his cheek. "Remember, family's legacy depends on decisive men." As they parted, Maya stepped back, heart hammering. Her fingers gripped the balcony rail tight enough to whiten knuckles. Esther's words etched into her mind like acid on glass. Minutes later, Clara, Maya's childhood friend and now chief marketing officer, called. Sensing strain, she asked, "Everything okay, Maya?" Maya considered denying, but the crack in her world needed a witness. She recounted the garden exchange. Clara whistled softly. "That woman's poison. And Leo, he's inhaling it." Maya's voice wavered. "I need proof before I act. But I also need to know, deep down, whether he'd care for me if the tide turned." "Then flip the tide," Clara said, half joking. "Fake a collapse, see who reaches for you." The line went silent, 2 minds locking onto the same wild thought. When Maya spoke again, her tone was steel. "Thank you, Clara. I'll be in touch." Far below, Leo plucked a pristine rose and tucked it into his lapel, a perfect gentleman in the garden of deceit. 48 hours later, Maya sat at her mahogany office desk, shoulders squared before a wall of monitors cascading stock prices. She'd spent the dawn negotiating a multi-million-dollar telecom merger while simultaneously authorizing payroll for 800 employees. Yet no headlines would read "Maya Okafor saves another 1,000 jobs," bloggers would credit her husband, the phantom CEO. Her assistant buzzed, "Madam, Leo is live on Sunrise Lagos." Maya clicked the stream. Leo, immaculate in bespoke suit, told the TV host, "Our new housing initiative in Betagri will uplift local communities. Hard work and vision make these dreams possible." Our hard work indeed, hers. She closed the window, pulse drumming. At lunch, Leo swaggered into her headquarters, cameras trailing. He blew a kiss. "Just showing the press the powerhouse behind my success," he announced. Laughter rippled, reporters scribbling. Inside the elevator, alone at last, Maya confronted him. The B-degree deal. Do you even know the interest rate on the development loan? Leo blinked. That's finance minutiae. People want the big picture. The picture you painted leaves me out. He smiled, placating. It's branding, love. Audiences relate to a male lead. You still hold the reins. Do I? She wondered. That night, while Leo attended a charity gala, Maya stayed home to sign supplier contracts, eyes gritty with fatigue. A delicate cough escaped her, more exhaustion than illness, but it sparked an idea. What if exhaustion became the script? What if she painted herself fragile and watched who rallied? Near midnight, Leo returned flushed with champagne. He flopped onto the sofa, shoes still on. You should have seen the applause. Maya, wrist deep in paperwork, masked her weariness. Glad it went well. He was asleep before she finished a final signature. She draped a blanket over him, habit, or love, or both, then lingered, studying his peaceful face. Could that face watch her fade without blinking? Thunder rolled again outside. The city's storms were growing frequent this season, and each rumble sounded like warning. 2 weeks later, she visited Dr. Chinidu Naji, a discreet family physician and longtime confidant. In his private clinic, the air smelled of antiseptic and orchids. Maya, he greeted, concern knitting his brow at her wan expression, half real fatigue, half performance. What troubles you? I need your help in an unconventional diagnosis, she said, voice soft. He listened as she unfolded her plan, feign a degenerative autoimmune disorder, requiring rest and frequent monitoring. Only Maya, Dr. Naji, and Clara would know the truth. Chinidu tapped his pen. Ethically questionable, but I know Leo's history. If this spares you greater harm, he sighed. Very well. But be cautious. Fear and greed make men unpredictable. That evening, Maya staged her first feint. In the grand foyer, surrounded by imported sculptures, she swayed and collapsed. A butler cried out. Leo, upstairs, took several minutes to appear, phone still in hand. Maya, he exclaimed, but the panic in his eyes looked rehearsed. He knelt as Dr. Naji, conveniently nearby, checked vitals and pronounced, possible autoimmune flare. She'll need weeks of rest. Leo's brow furrowed, calculating, not grieving. Weeks? Perhaps months, the doctor added gravely. She must avoid stress. Esther arrived within the hour, all sympathetic coos, yet her gaze sparkled with something like triumph. In Maya's bedroom, she smoothed a blanket over her daughter-in-law and whispered, God gives trials for a reason. But when she stepped into the hallway, Clara, hidden behind a column, caught Esther's reflection in a gilt mirror, a satisfied smile spreading like oil on water. Later, Maya pretended sleep as Leo and Esther spoke outside the door. Esther, opportunity, my son. With proper paperwork, you'll secure the estate before creditors circle. Leo, she drafted an old will years ago, but I don't know the clauses. Esther, find it. If not, persuade her to update one, out of love. Her laugh was low and cold. Sickness sharpens gratitude. Their footsteps faded. Maya's eyes opened, glistening. Tears slid into her hairline, mourning a marriage she now knew was already dead. Yet beneath the grief, resolve hardened. They wanted paperwork? She would give them paperwork, designed to expose their souls. She sent Clara a midnight text, Phase 2. Begin tomorrow. Clara replied instantly with a single emoji, a queen's crown. In the darkness, lightning flashed, illuminating the ceiling fresco, Athena in full armor, spear lifted. Maya stared at the goddess, whispered, guide me, and let the thunder answer. The afternoon heat hung heavy over Victoria Island when Maya shuffled to the veranda, wrapped in a charcoal gray shawl that exaggerated the pallor she'd painted onto her cheeks. Every calculated tremor of her fingers fed Leo's illusion of frailty. Leo lounged in a rattan armchair, golf highlights flickering across his tablet. He barely glanced up. "You should be resting," he muttered, eyes on the screen. "I wanted fresh air," Maya whispered, voice scratchy with feigned exhaustion. She lowered herself beside him, wincing theatrically. The koi pond gurgled between them, its bright flashes of orange and white the only sign of life in the thick silence. A notification pinged on Leo's device, Nigerian Naira 2.8 million landing in his personal account from Maya's discretionary fund. He smirked, thumb hovering to hide the alert. Maya caught the glint in his eye, her own pulse thrumming at the confirmation that he'd diverted another tranche of her money during her illness. She coughed, dry, deliberate. "Will you stay with me tonight?" Leo exhaled, feigning patience. "I promised the club I'd host poker. The guys booked the VIP suite at Oriental. It's for charity." "Charity can survive without you," she murmured. "I might need help if the fever spikes." He hesitated, seconds that stretched like taffy, then kissed her forehead perfunctorily. "I'll keep my phone on. Call if you absolutely must." The words twisted a knife of real hurt. She watched him stride away, linen shirt billowing in the lagoon breeze, never once looking back. When his car disappeared down the Palmline Drive, Maya sagged, the act suddenly heavy. Sam, her loyal operations manager, appeared with a tray of herbal tea. "Madam, you shouldn't push yourself." He lowered his voice. "But I recorded his conversation, as you asked." Maya sat up, nerves taut. Sam handed her a slim recorder. With shaky fingers, she pressed play. Leo, laughing, "She's dragging on. Doctor says months. If she croaks sooner, the estate's mine twice over. Unknown friend, savage, bro. You locked down the will?" Leo, "Working on it. Mum's nudging her to update paperwork. Once it's signed, we're golden." Maya's vision blurred. The koi pond's ripples distorted, as though the world itself recoiled. When the recording ended, she clenched the recorder so tight her knuckles blanched. Sam knelt. "Madam, say the word and I'll bring security, throw them out tonight." She shook her head. "No. Not yet. The world must see their colors. For that, I need them to paint the whole canvas themselves." Lightning cracked over the lagoon, echoing inside her chest. She rose, spine straight despite the shawl. "Tonight, Sam, we start the masterpiece." Rain hammered the estate's terracotta roof as Esther swept into Maya's bedroom the next morning, perfume and judgment preceding her. She perched on the edge of the four-poster bed, lips pursed in counterfeit concern. "My dear," she trilled, "have you prayed for healing today?" "Faith moves mountains." Maya forced a wan smile. "I have, Mummy Esther. God's will be done." Esther nodded sagely, then switched to business. "Speaking of will," she patted Maya's hand, "Leo mentioned your assets aren't fully protected. Should the Lord call you home," she dropped her gaze piously, "you wouldn't want probate vultures devouring what you worked for." "Of course not," Maya whispered. "What do you suggest?" "I have a trusted solicitor who can draft a simple amendment, leave everything to Leo. Efficient, biblical, a man shall provide for his household." She quoted scripture with the practiced flourish of a televangelist. Maya's chest tightened, half anger, half admiration at the brazenness. "Thank you, Mummy. Could you arrange it?" "Delighted." Esther beamed, already tapping on her diamond-encrusted phone. But beneath that radiant smile, her eyes gleamed like a crocodile's at dusk. Across the room, Clara, disguised as a private nurse, adjusted a saline drip. She observed the exchange, silently cataloging every predatory nuance. Once Esther bustled out, Clara approached the bed, voice low. "Your mother-in-law's playing chess with a single pawn." "Let her," Maya breathed. "Each move she makes writes my story for me." Clara produced a slim flash drive. Sam extracted more audio. Leo and Esther discuss selling your Koi penthouse before you're gone, because, and I quote, a buyer's ready, and my wife won't need it in heaven. Maya's stomach lurched, yet resolve steeled. Good. The uglier, the better. When the mask falls, I want rubble. Clara squeezed her hand. Keep your fire. Lagos loves a phoenix. 2 evenings later, Maya summoned Clara to the rooftop conservatory, her secret refuge perched above the city's neon arteries. Tropical rain drums on glass panels while dendrobium orchids glow under hidden LEDs. The world below is a blur of red taillights, inside, it is confession hour. Clara arrived in athleisure, damp braids slung over her shoulders. You look stronger, she noted. Maya shrugged off the shawl, still pale, but eyes sharp. Anger galvanizes. They sat on wicker loungers, city lights glittering like chips on a gambler's table. Clara's tone shifted. There's rumor Leo's taken out key person insurance on you through one of your subsidiaries, Nigerian Naira 500 million payable to the company he controls. Maya's breath hitched. A policy hedging my death. Exactly. If you die soon, he scores a windfall plus your estate. Clara leaned in. I fear he might accelerate fate. Silence pulled between them, broken only by rain. Maya stared into the orchid blooms, mind racing. Then we accelerate justice. She outlined her counterstrike, a fake will leaving everything to Leo and Esther, signed, notarized, delivered by messenger. A gift-wrapped trap. Clara frowned. If they rush your demise to cash in, you risk real danger. Maya's voice was iron. I trust you, Sam, and Dr. Naji. You'll shield me. She grasped Clara's hand. I need their greed exposed, not merely suspected. Women watching must see every red flag. Clara's expression softened. Fine. But triple security. I'm moving into the guest wing. Below, a bolt of lightning cleaved the skyline. In its white flash, Maya saw her reflection on the glass roof, eyes blazing, no longer victim. 2 days later, a sleek courier drone buzzed onto the mansion's landing pad, delivering a cream envelope sealed with Maya's crest. Inside, a fresh, legally bonded will bequeathing all shares, properties, and residual income to Leo Williams and Esther Williams in gratitude for their unwavering love during my illness. Esther tore the document open at the breakfast table, manicured nails shaking with glee. Leo! Look, she's handing everything to us. Leo scanned the pages, greed and relief warring on his face. She finally sees sense. He peered over his shoulder, lowering his voice. We need her signature witnessed. Already done, Esther whispered, eyes shining. Her lawyer and nurse signed. Both were, of course, Clara's trusted contacts. A sly grin spread across Leo's face. Then we only wait and pray. He clinked orange juice glasses with his mother in a grotesque toast. Upstairs, hidden behind an antique vent, Sam's micro camera streamed the scene to Maya's phone in real time. She watched their celebration, pulse steady. She turned to Dr. Naji, who measured out supplements for her staged flair. They swallowed the bait, she murmured. Time for the hook. That afternoon, Maya summoned Leo to her bedside, feigning weakness. I updated my will, she croaked. I need peace of mind. Leo clasped her hand, one eye on the biometric safe behind her. Anything, my love. Promise you'll protect Mother Esther too. She's been supportive. The lie coated her tongue like ash. He squeezed her fingers, a performance for the nursing staff. You have my word. Thank you. Her lashes fluttered closed, as though drained by the effort. Leo tiptoed out, straight to his study, where he called his lawyer. Maya opened her eyes, stare icy. Phase 3, observation complete. Phase 4, exposure imminent. Night cloaked the estate when Leo slipped into his office. Dark mahogany bookshelves towered over him, a single desk lamp carved sharp angles across his features. He dialed his attorney, Barrister Ocone, on an encrypted line. "Draft the power of attorney now," Leo whispered. "Medical decisions, asset management, everything transferred to me. She's too weak to sign in person, we'll bring a mobile notary." Ocone hesitated. "If she's incapacitated, capacity signatures are tricky." "Money solves tricky," Leo hissed. "Double your retainer." He hung up, heart hammering. Across the room, a delicate click sounded. Sam, half hidden behind a door, camera lens glittering. Leo stiffened, but Sam melted away like shadow. "Just the cleaner," Leo assumed. Moments later, Esther entered, satin robe pooling like molten gold. "Good news?" "Ocone's drafting the POA. Once she signs, we move her to the private clinic, less oversight. Insurance pays out if she passes in licensed care." Esther nodded, predator proud. "Schedule the move this weekend. Lagos traffic on Fridays is lethal, any delay could complicate her fragile condition." Her implication hung thick. Sam caught it all on audio. He forwarded the clip to Clara, who sat in Maya's room, tablet glowing. Maya listened, throat tight. The hour had come, trap sprung, jaws closing. She rose from bed, strength unmasked, and stepped to the mirror. Under harsh vanity bulbs she wiped the pale makeup, revealing warm mahogany skin blazing with vitality. Clara watched, awestruck. "Call the press," Maya said, voice calm but electric. "Tomorrow night we host an intimate family dinner, just Leo, Esther, close friends, and a couple of media darlings with hidden cameras." Clara grinned wide. "A feast of revelations." Maya nodded. "They wanted a stage. I'll give them one." She clasped a pendant at her throat, a tiny phoenix wrought in rose gold. Its wings caught the light, scattering sparks across the room. Outside, the rain ceased, leaving Lagos humming and humid, air alive with anticipation. The final act loomed, and in the stillness before the storm, Maya felt not fear but fierce exhilaration. The corridor floors of Sunrise Haven Hospital gleamed like river glass beneath sterile lights. Sam Adeyemi paced them with a calm that belied the tempest in his chest. A former street kid turned logistics prodigy, Sam owed Maya more than a salary. She'd spotted him app-hacking warehouse chains and, instead of pressing charges, gave him the operations division. Tonight, loyalty demanded more than spreadsheets. Outside Maya's private suite, a pair of bulky guards, hired by Leo for her safety, stood poker-faced. Sam dipped his head in greeting, flashing his ID badge. "Madam forgot to sign procurement checks," he lied, hefting an envelope. The thicker guard stepped aside, the other eyed him, suspicion flickering. Sam's pulse quickened, but he slid into the suite before doubts could catch up. Inside, the oxygen machine sighed, a prop to sell the charade. Maya reclined on crisp sheets, bronze skin theatrical pale under low lamplight. Clara, in nurse blues, adjusted a drip line filled with harmless saline. When Maya spotted Sam, her eyes brightened. He stepped close, whispering, "They've installed a hidden nanny cam above the dresser. Hardwired to Leo's laptop." Maya's jaw tightened. "Collect a copy. Then give them something worth watching." Sam grinned. He produced a flash drive no larger than a rosary bead. Latest recordings, Leo's lawyer confirming power of attorney and a buyer for a koi. Time-stamped. Maya reached for his hand. "Sam, I dragged you into war." "You gave me a future," he replied, voice thick. "This is payback with interest." Footsteps outside, Sam melted behind a privacy curtain. Esther breezed in, perfume razoring the sterile air. She perched on the mattress, wearing piety like fur. "My precious daughter," she cooed, "pain refines the soul. Have you considered baptizing this illness in faith, signing release of worldly worries?" Maya forced a frail smile. "You mean the power of attorney?" Esther's eyes glittered. "Only until God calls you to glory, child." From behind the curtain, Sam's camera captured every oily word. His finger hovered over record, etching digital witness onto the flash drive already brimming with betrayal. When Esther finally drifted out, Sam emerged. "Did you get it?" Maya asked. He nodded. "Crystal. Also, hospital kitchen staff report Esther bribed them for access to your dietary file." Clara cursed under her breath. "She'll tamper with meds next." Maya's expression hardened. "Then tomorrow I leave this bed under my own power. But first we let them try." Sam understood. Give them rope, then display the noose. He tucked the drive into his jacket. "I'll mirror the files to 3 cloud vaults. Even if they burn the building, the truth survives." Maya exhaled, gratitude and grim purpose braided in a single breath. Outside, thunder rolled like distant hooves, Lagos's nightly sermon on cause and effect. Maya's home office, once her sanctuary of teak and tempered glass, had become a crime lab. Wall-mounted monitors displayed frozen frames, Leo chuckling over estate sales, Esther signing forged medication charts, Barrister Ocone counting banknotes. Clara orchestrated the feeds like a conductor. At 3 a.m. Maya sat alone before the screens, Sam's latest file open, raw audio edged with static. "Leo, low, urgent, increase her steroid dosage, doctor said it stresses the heart." Esther, good. Heart attacks look natural. Leo, the sooner the better. I've scheduled yacht shopping in Monaco. The words blade bit through ribs and sinew, carving a grief so sharp Maya gagged. She slammed the laptop shut, lungs trembling. For a beat she wanted to burn it all, money, mansion, memory, walk barefoot into the ocean and let tides erase the stain. Footfalls padded behind her, Clara draped a shawl over Maya's shoulders. "I heard," she whispered. Maya didn't lift her head. "How did love become an invoice? Where did I fail?" "You didn't," Clara whispered fiercely. "They did." She nudged the laptop open again. "But every villain writes their own confession. You just earned a choir of witnesses." Tears blurred the screen, each pixel swimming. Outside the glass wall, Lagos skyline pulsed neon pinks and ambers, city lights blinking like indifferent stars. Maya wiped her cheeks and replayed the clip, this time letting the pain convert to fuel. "We finished this at the dinner," she said, voice hoarse but steady. "I want the world front row when their masks fall." Clara rested her forehead against Maya's. "And I'll be stage manager." By sunrise, Maya's sorrow had fermented into strategy. She dictated instructions: call investigative journalist Bako Njoku, known for viral exposés, invite fashion influencer Amina Gold, social media queen with 40 million followers, discreetly slip both NDAs disguised as menu cards. Sam delivered sealed evidence packets to Dr. Naji and a high court judge Maya once mentored. Fail-safe grenades: if she disappeared, uploads would scatter to every outlet from Channels TV to the BBC. At noon, she walked out of Sunrise Haven under her own power, paparazzi gasping as cameras flashed. She did not explain, she only smiled, a Mona Lisa curve sharpened with vengeance. 2 nights before the dinner, Maya padded into the dimly lit music room where Leo strummed an acoustic guitar. He blinked, startled by her strength. "Wow, you're up." "Brief reprieve," she said, gliding toward the baby grand. Moonlight pooled across ebony veneer. "Moments like this make me ponder legacies." Leo's fingers stuttered on the strings. Morbid thinking. Reality thinking. She lifted a crystal decanter, pouring cognac into tulip glasses. "Tell me, if all this vanished," her hand swept the chandeliers, the Persian rug, "what would matter most to you?" He forced a laugh. "You, obviously." Maya sipped slowly. "Really? Not the Ikoyi penthouse? Yacht in Monaco?" Leo's throat bobbed. "Material things come and go." She stepped closer till their reflections merged in the piano's black lid, hers serene, his twitching. "Funny," she murmured, "I dreamed I died. Instead of mourning, you booked a yacht tour." He set the guitar down with a soft clunk. You're delirious. Am I? Her gaze bored in. Faithfulness is revealed in storms, Leo. Not sunshine. A beat of silence. Cicadas chirped outside. Leo reached, gripping her wrists in faux tenderness. You need rest. She studied the pressure of his fingers, possessive, not loving. Yes, she said, extracting herself. Rest before our family dinner. It might be transformative. He frowned. You're strong enough for guests? Oh, quite. She turned to leave, voice floating back. Stronger than ever. As she disappeared down the corridor, Leo exhaled, a whisper of dread riding the breath. The chandelier's crystal teardrops shimmered, catching moonlight like silent alarms. Hidden behind the music room drapes, Sam's camera captured everything. Friday, 7 p.m. candles flickered down a banquet table long enough to land a helicopter. Velvet napkins the shade of Merlot curled beside gold-rimmed china. In the chandelier glow, 30 guests gathered, society elites, 2 gossip bloggers, Bako and Joku in a tailored Ankara suit, Amina Gold live-streaming fashion commentary to millions. Most thought they'd been invited to support Maya's last charitable endeavor. Maya descended the grand staircase, not in patient pajamas, but in a scarlet chiffon gown that clung to curves and declared resurrection. Gasps rippled. Leo's jaw slackened, Esther's clutch nearly toppled from her hand. Maya stopped halfway down, letting silence stretch, then smiled. Welcome. Tonight we celebrate family, loyalty, and truth. Leo recovered first, ushering her to a seat of honor beside him. Esther hovered like a vulture in high heels. Courses arrived, pepper prawn bisque, suya spiced filet, roes that glittered like dawn. Between bites, Maya wove gracious conversation, her laughter soft but edged. Finally she rose, glass raised. As you know, illness sharpens perspective. I penned a new will. Esther's eyes gleamed, Leo straightened. Maya motioned to a liveried butler, who presented an embossed folder to Barrister Chakwu, a respected justice seated nearby. Kindly read it aloud, Maya said. Chakwu adjusted spectacles, voice rolling through the hall. I, Maya Okafor Williams, bequeath the entirety of my estate to my beloved husband, Leo Williams, and his mother, Esther Williams, in honor of their unwavering devotion. Gasps, cameras flashed. Esther pressed a hand to her chest in theatrical gratitude. Leo wrapped an arm around Maya's shoulders, possessive triumph. Blogger Mike's caught every grin. Chakwu turned the page. Clause 2, should either beneficiary be found complicit in fraud, theft, or conspiracy to endanger my life, this will is null. All assets then pass to the Sunrise Foundation for Girls in STEM. The room hummed. Esther's smile faltered. Leo's fingers tightened on Maya's shoulder. Maya stepped forward. Which brings us to Exhibit A. She clapped. A projector descended, lights dimming. Footage appeared, Leo and Esther discussing dosage, yacht shopping, croaking sooner. Gasps erupted into shocked murmurs, Bako's camera zoomed tight on Leo's paling face. Esther lunged for the remote, but Sam intercepted, towering beside the screen like security. Footage concluded, silence roared. Maya leveled her glass at the pair. Loyalty leaves footprints. Yours are on video, audio, the cloud, and every guest's phone. She turned to the audience. Kindly bear witness. Leo's mouth opened, but only a rasp emerged. Esther's fury ignited. This is defamation, she shrieked. Maya's reply cut the air, truth cannot defame. She beckoned 2 uniformed police officers, invited guests. They moved forward, cuffs gleaming. Pandemonium erupted. Guests parted like tide before armored boats. Leo backed away, palms raised. Wait, there's misunderstanding. Officer Adeola recited rights as she clasped cuffs around his wrists. Esther clawed at Maya, nails flashing sapphire, until Officer Brown restrained her. Cameras captured every desperate thrash. Amina Gold's livestream comment counter rocketed past 3 million. Leo's mask slipped, replaced by raw panic. Maya, be reasonable. Mom pushed me, I still love you. Maya stepped closer, crimson chiffon whispering across marble. Her voice was glacier calm. Love does not counterfeit signatures or plan slow murder. Barrister Chukwu announced, police have court orders to search bank records and the hospital pharmacy. Evidence submitted tonight warrants remand. Esther shrieked, "Witch! We made you respectable." Maya's laughter, low and unbroken, echoed across vaulted ceilings. I was wealthy before your son could tie a Windsor knot. Reporters flooded questions. How long had she known? Would she press charges? Maya lifted a hand for silence. This isn't vengeance, it's hygiene. Parasites removed so healthy tissue can thrive. Leo sagged, cuff chains rattling. You'll ruin us. Actions carry invoices, Maya said. Tonight, you pay. Police escorted mother and son through throngs of flashing bulbs. Outside, squad cars painted red-blue strobes over the mansion facade, once a palace of illusion, now a billboard for justice. Inside, guests exhaled collective disbelief. Bako and Joku approached Maya. Permission to publish? Entirely, she smiled. But remember, center the lesson, not the scandal. He nodded, respect gleaming. Amina Gold embraced Maya, whispering through tears, you just gave every silent woman a megaphone. Sam, Clara, and Dr. Naji formed a quiet triangle nearby. Maya joined them, exhaustion finally softening her shoulders. Phase 5 complete, she murmured. Sam grinned. Viral by sunrise. Clara raised a flute of hibiscus champagne. To queens who rescue themselves. They clinked glasses. Somewhere beyond the French doors, Lagos traffic roared, indifferent yet eternally awake, like history itself recording new legends. In the distant harbor, thunderheads gathered, but their rumble felt different tonight, less omen, more ovation. Maya inhaled rain-cooled air, tasting freedom, betrayal finally metabolized into wisdom. Tomorrow she'd pick up the ashes of her marriage, forge them into architecture for others to climb. Tonight she let the silence settle, a lullaby sung by emptied rooms and newly uncluttered heart space. Above, the chandelier's crystal droplets caught police strobes, scattering prisms across marble floors, proof that even broken light can refract beauty. The next morning, Lagos awoke to sirens of another kind, the frantic tone of breakfast show anchors as they teased a breaking exclusive, heiress Maya Okafor Williams to address nation after husband's arrest. By 9 a.m. a press scrum frothed outside the Civic Center on Ozumbambadu. Reporters in sweat-stained linen jockeyed with vloggers on selfie sticks, drone cameras thrummed overhead like angry hornets. Inside the glass-walled auditorium, Maya stood alone behind a lectern draped in royal blue satin. Gone was the crimson vengeance gown, today she wore a white power suit with broad lapels trimmed in osso oak, symbol of reclamation, not revenge. Each gold button bore the Sunrise Foundation logo, a phoenix circled by binary code. Dr. Naji adjusted a lapel mic on her collar. Heart rate? Steady as cash flow, she said, smiling. Across the room Sam finished rigging a multi-camera feed while Clara handed USB drives to journalists, pre-packaged evidence sets. A hush rippled as the auditorium doors opened to the public. Every seat filled in minutes, from tech CEOs to market women in ghillie turbans who had slipped past security because Maya is our daughter too. In the front row sat Justice Abimbola Ajayi, presiding judge for the upcoming fraud trial, flanked by 2 senior detectives. At 10 o'clock sharp, the lights dimmed. Maya strode forward, heels echoing like gavel strikes. Good morning, Lagos, she began, voice calm but amplified by the silence. My name is Maya Okafor Williams, though recent headlines might suggest I existed only as an accessory to another person's ambition. Soft rustles, pens paused. For months I have pretended illness to test the integrity of those closest to me. She pressed a clicker. The rear wall bloomed with video, Leo plotting dosages, Esther praising lethal shortcuts. Gasps crackled across rows. Maya continued, if you wonder why a woman of means would endure such a charade, understand this, silence shelters predators. Her gaze swept the hall. And predators thrive in families, businesses, nations, wherever we label silence virtue. She played audio of Esther's heart attack scheme. Reporters cursed under their breath, one cameraman lowered his rig, wiping tears. When the final clip ended, Maya allowed the audience a heartbeat of horror before she spoke again. Leo and Esther were arrested last night for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated fraud, and money laundering. She pivoted to Justice Ajayi. I trust the courts to carve justice, but I claim a different power, transformation. Screens behind her dissolved into footage of schoolgirls tinkering with solar panels in a dusty northern village, girls whose tuition Sunrise Foundation had funded for years in secret. Starting today, 90% of my liquid assets will endow the Sunrise Global Trust, funneling STEM scholarships to African women across the continent. A roar rose, applause mingled with ululations. Maya raised a hand for quiet. The remaining 10% I shall keep, she flashed a wry smile, for shoes and mango gelato. Laughter rippled, tension melting. A young journalist shouted, what message do you have for women trapped by financial abuse? Maya's answer cut through the roar, know your worth, audit your circle, and never fear testing love, real love survives inspection. In the wings, Clara exhaled a breath she hadn't known she held. Sam's camera indicator winked red, broadcasting the speech to millions on social feeds. Trending hashtags erupted, hashtag Maya test, hashtag Phoenix protocol, hashtag silence is not virtue. As Maya stepped away from the lectern, thunderheads over the lagoon cracked with distant lightning, but their echoes sounded strangely like applause. 2 days later, Leo and Esther occupied separate cells in the high-security wing of a Koi prison. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, walls reeked of disinfectant and desperation. Leo sat on a steel cot, funeral gray jumpsuit hanging off shoulders suddenly bonier. His manicured hands, once trophies of indulgent spa days, were raw from chewing. A guard rapped the bars. Visitor. Maya entered, accompanied by a prison chaplain. No cameras, no entourage, only closure. Leo surged to his feet. Maya! Thank God. You can end this circus. She studied him like a financier reading a risk statement. Leo, tell me the precise moment you decided my death was an acceptable price for a yacht. His jaw worked soundlessly. Mom, Your mother didn't forge your signature on the insurance policy. Her voice remained even. This is the last conversation we will ever have. Use it wisely. Tears surfaced, to his own surprise. I loved you. You loved what I built. She placed a folded paper on the tray slot. This is a notarized waiver. Sign it, and all charges of attempted murder are mine alone to pursue cooperatively or drop. If you refuse, the state presses homicide attempt charges anyway. Either way, your business empire, what's left of it, transfers to Sunrise. He stared, disbelief sinking into the creases around his eyes. Why give me a choice? Because I'm not you. She turned to leave. Over her shoulder, sign, Leo. Let the world see at least one act of minimal decency. Minutes later, the guard brought the waiver, the signature shaky but present. Across town, Esther sat with her high society prayer group, only no one else arrived. Her calls went unanswered, her once fearsome social currency defaulted overnight. Titled friends distanced themselves, sponsors withdrew charity invitations. In trending memes she became the punchline, wicked mother-in-law gets divine clapback. Meanwhile, the internet erupted with think pieces. Forbes praised Maya's corporate jujitsu, Teen Vogue hailed her as STEM Avenger, and Nollywood producers salivated over film rights. At Sunrise headquarters, donation pledges crashed servers. Interns cheered, the phoenix soared. Yet amid the whirlwind, grief visited Maya in quieter hours, like dawn birds returning to a garden burnt in storm. She would stand by the koi pond, watching the fish swirl in patterns Leo never cared to notice. Clara joined her one evening, handing a cup of steaming zobo. "How are you really?" Clara asked. "Freed," Maya said, "but freedom is heavy." Clara nodded. "Survivorship weighs more than victimhood, it bears responsibility." Maya glanced at her reflection rippling in pond water. "Then let's build shoulders wide enough." They clinked cups, an oath sealed in hibiscus. High Court 8B bustled with journalists when proceedings opened 3 weeks later. Senior advocate Olu Ojo led Maya's civil action, flanked by a phalanx of junior counsel. Across the aisle, Leo's defense team looked like underfunded understudies. Esther's was worse, one bargain attorney and a cousin with paralegal credentials. Justice Ajayi presided, robes sweeping as she took her seat. Call case 1270/25, Okafor Williams v. Williams et al. Ojo's opening statement painted betrayal in forensic detail: bank transfers, doctored ledgers, forged prescriptions. Each exhibit displayed on courtroom monitors triggered murmurs among spectators. Defense tried a predictable pivot: mental duress, maternal manipulation, but Ojo skewered them with timestamps and expert witnesses. Dr. Naji testified on tampered meds. A forensic accountant charted the money laundering web to an offshore shell named Esther Leo Holdings. Sam's recordings provided soundtrack. Mid-trial, Esther attempted theatrics, a fainting spell. Paramedics found smelling salts in her sleeve. Judge Ajayi scribbled a note: bailiffs confiscated her purse. During recess, Maya sat in a walnut-paneled witness waiting room, eyes closed. Ojo entered. "The prosecution will prevail. Criminal sentencing may range up to 25 years, but plea deals require your consent." "Offer none," Maya said softly. "The court decides mercy." She opened her eyes. "My victory is not prison, it's precedent. Let this case read like a cautionary textbook." Ojo smiled. "Precise as always." When verdict came, gavel echoing beneath high ceilings, Leo and Esther were found liable for attempted murder, grand larceny, and fraud. Criminal sentencing hearings loomed, but civil damages alone topped 5 billion Nigerian nairas, funds earmarked for Sunrise's newly announced campus in Enugu. As bailiffs led the pair away, Maya felt a curious lightness, like the moment a plane lifts, wheels kissing sky. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "How do you define justice, Mrs. Okafor Williams?" one asked. She paused, sun casting halos on camera lenses. "Justice is truth in motion," she answered. "It doesn't resurrect what was lost, but it builds safer roads for those still traveling." Spring arrived early to Lagos. Almond trees along Bourdalin Road erupted in white blossoms, drifting like slow snow onto the newly renovated estate gates. Maya had renamed the property Phoenix House, less about grandeur, more about metaphor. Inside, workers dismantled portraits of aristocratic British foxhunts, Esther's taste, and hung canvases by young Nigerian women painters. The once ostentatious gilded elevator now displayed holographic donor walls of Sunrise scholars. Sam guided a group of staff through operational changes. "We're carbon neutral by July," he announced. Engineers installed solar shingles, chefs partnered with local organic co-ops. A spirit of renewal beat in every corridor. One afternoon, Maya convened her board around an outdoor table shaded by jacaranda. Clara, now Chief Strategy Officer, presented a hologram map: satellite schools for girls in Kaduna, Cape Town, Accra. VR hubs shipping to rural clinics. Investor Ao Banjo raised a brow. Ambitious timelines. Maya replied, "The clock has always ticked loudest for the underserved. We move at warp because they can't wait." Applause rippled. After the meeting, Maya walked alone through the rose garden, one sight of Esther's whispered schemes. She knelt by a newly planted sapling, pressing a hand to fresh loam. "New roots," she murmured. Footsteps crunched gravel. It was Dr. Naji. "Planting mahogany here?" he asked. "Fast-growing variety," she smiled. By the time Sunrise's first robotics cohort graduates, this tree will hold graduation lanterns. He extended an envelope, Leo's final letter from prison. She accepted but did not open it. Some ghosts deserve rest, she said, tucking it into her jacket. At dusk she stood on the balcony overlooking the lagoon, city lights glittering like circuit boards. Wind lifted her hair, freedom felt less heavy now, muscle acclimated to new weight. Somewhere inside, love stirred again, not for a man, but for possibilities. 6 months later, Maya's face filled screens worldwide as keynote speaker for TED Global, Lagos. The conference hall thundered applause when she stepped under red neon letters reading Rise. She opened with a story, selling roasted corn in Ajagunal as a teen, dreaming of silicon chips she'd only seen in smuggled magazines. She spoke of nights coding by kerosene lamp, of first millionaire contracts negotiated in shaky English, of trusting a man who bartered love for lifestyle. But setbacks, she said, eyes sweeping rows of delegates, are scaffolds for ascent when we refuse to drown in silence. She recounted the experiment, feigned illness, captured betrayals, and the room breathed as one. Then she pivoted to data. Women control half of Africa's informal economy but receive less than 10% of venture capital. Sunrise aimed to triple that percentage in 5 years. The audience rose in a wave, applauding not just the thesis but the woman who embodied it. She concluded, "Power must be tested, or it petrifies. Love must be tested, or it masquerades. And we, especially daughters of this continent, must test the stories told about us, or we inherit cages disguised as castles." Spotlights faded to indigo, a single follow spot held her last silhouette, a phoenix feather etched in LED behind her. Outside, teenagers in Sunrise t-shirts live-streamed watch parties from Makoko to Mombasa, hashtags morphed into scholarship links, venture funds pledged seed rounds before the credits rolled. Later that night, Maya stood on Phoenix House's rooftop terrace, city beneath like a quilt of diamonds. Clara joined her, handing a mug of ginger tea. "Keynote blew up 9 million retweets," she said. Maya laughed softly. "Virality is oxygen, what matters is the fire it feeds." She stared at the horizon where dawn hints pink. "I think of the girl I was, knees dusty, pockets empty, wondering if dreams expire. I wish I could tell her, they grow new wings after every fall." Clara clinked mugs. 2 wings. As the first call to prayer drifted across the lagoon, Maya closed her eyes. In the hush she felt countless other women lift, caught in drafts of her story, feathers rustling for flight. Somewhere far behind, the mansion's koi pond splashed, perhaps a fish leaping skyward, testing boundaries of its own. Maya opened her eyes to a sky smeared with gold. "Time to build bigger skies," she whispered and turned toward the stairwell, toward breakfast meetings, foundation launches, endless work. Toward life. The door closed behind her, the camera of dawn kept rolling, capturing a world forever altered by one woman's refusal to stay silent. The end.